Hi, my name's Ria. I'm the co-founder of Mission Math, and today we'll be going over the Unraveling Nature's Equations workshop. We initially held this workshop on February 3rd, 2024, so quite a while ago, over a year ago. But today I'll just be going through this workshop and going through all the slides and lessons for any of you who couldn't make it to that original date. A bit about Mission Math for anyone who's new to our organization. Mission Math is a youth-led volunteer organization that celebrates students' strengths while tackling areas of weakness to increase math learning and thus improve students' confidence, combating the lack of confidence caused by underperformance in math. And with that, because we're really committed to being entirely volunteer run, all of our services are entirely virtual and free, so they're accessible to people all over the world. We offer private tutoring, also group courses, workshops, summer camps, YouTube crash courses, videos just like this, along with panel events, so there's a little bit for everyone. And you can check out this QR code here on the right of your screen to sign up for some of our services. So for the agenda for this workshop, with the actual live event, we started with introductions. Obviously, I'll skip that because this is just a recorded video. But then we'll do a math and nature overview, some investigations, and activity, which again will be a bit different because we're not exactly in a live setting. In the original workshop, we did like small breakout rooms where students got to design their own patterns together and then present them. So obviously this will be a bit different, but I'll try to recreate as much of the experience as possible. Okay, so we're going to start just doing a very general overview of how math connects to nature. The underlying ideas of math, how we got to where we are today, all started with nature, with people just simply observing what's around them in the natural world, making patterns and drawing conclusions out of that to create theorems and formulas. So the different shapes and patterns that we see in nature today, something as simple as just picking up a random leaf, is all rooted in math. So when we're investigating and analyzing patterns, we're using geometry. And geometry is centered around points, lines, surfaces, solids, and higher dimensional analogs. So geometry can be really simple, just simple points, or it can get to really high level math. But really just the natural world around us, it can all be explained using geometry. And there are many different ways that we see mathematical patterns in nature. There are three broad subcategories of nature that can really be explained by math. So we have symmetry, shapes, and patterns. And obviously we don't have the chat feature here because it's not the live event, but just in your head or on a piece of paper, think about how you see nature manifest in these different ways, symmetry, shapes, and patterns. So different types of nature that you've seen maybe in your own backyard or while on a hike, or in somewhere near you, like a natural park. How have you seen these three underlying concepts of nature? And here you can think a bit also, this might help guide some of your thinking. Look at these different types of nature. You can see a sunflower, a leaf, some water droplets. What patterns are you noticing? How might math explain some of these? Just start doing some initial thinking. Again, you can write on a piece of paper, just think in your head. But try to connect these different images. What patterns can you make and what potential conclusions could you draw off of that? Okay, so now that we've done a brief overview of you thinking about how math might appear in nature, we've done some observations, some reflecting, some initial thinking, let's go more in depth now into the real ways that we see math in nature, some of the more concrete lessons here. So we'll start by talking about fractals in nature. So to start, what are fractals? A fractal is a complex and recurring shape in which the shape itself repeatedly displays the same fundamental shape. So you can zoom in a lot or you can zoom out a lot, and no matter how you're looking at it, the picture looks very similar. And I'm going to show you some examples in the next slide, but you can see fractals in leaves of ferns, tree branches, etc. So you can start thinking in your head what that might look like. It's really just a shape that it's repeating. So you can look at it in any way. You can zoom in a lot, you can zoom out a lot, and you'll see that same pattern, that same shape. So here you go, here are some more like concrete pictures, but just go ahead and take a moment, look at these pictures, look at each one in depth. What are you noticing? How might these be fractals? Why are they fractals based on the previous definition I just gave you? Um, what are some patterns that you're noticing between these two images? What's unique about each image? What are some similarities? Just go ahead and again write on your piece of paper or think in your head. And if you're interested in fractals, this is a really cool simulator where you can experiment with fractals. You can make your own shapes You can try rotating them, playing around with them, and really just better understand how the shape works at the fundamental level. So I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the description box below this video. So if you want to play around with fractals, you can go ahead and check out the simulator. So again, I'll just put that link right below this video. And if you play around with it, just go ahead and try out different tools and figure out what's your favorite tool, what do you like, what do you not like, and see what's the coolest thing that you can make. It's a lot of fun. In the workshop, we spent a few minutes on this and the kids had a blast. It's really interesting. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Fibonacci sequence. So I want you to go ahead and look at these 6 images. And like we've done before, this is a workshop that's really based on making observations and drawing inferences off of those observations, because that's what real scientists do. That's what ecologists do in their everyday work. They look at nature and they make observations and they make inferences. And that's exactly what I want you guys to be doing, to be building those skills. So like we've been doing throughout this workshop, I want you to look at these 6 images and I want you to make observations on every single one. What might this be? What is this in the first place? So first identify what this is, or what you think it might be if you're not sure. Make some observations. What colors are you seeing? What shapes? What patterns in each image? And then what are the similarities and differences between these? So do you see 2 that look really similar, 2 that look entirely different? What patterns are you noticing? And why might these 6 images like what might they all have in common? Why did I choose these 6? So go ahead and pause the video, take just a few minutes to really look at each image and reflect. And again, make sure you're practicing those skills of drawing inferences, of trying to figure out conclusions or hypotheses about what these might represent. Okay, so I hope you took a couple minutes to just really look at those images. Great for building those scientist skills. Now I want you to look at more of the math side of this. So we're talking about the Fibonacci sequence, and here I'm actually giving you some of the first few digits of the Fibonacci sequence. So I want you to just look at these numbers. What is the pattern? Why is the Fibonacci sequence these specific numbers? Why is it 987 and not 992? Why is it 377 and not 412? What is the pattern here? So I really want you to think about this. So pause the video, try to figure out what the pattern is. It might be a bit tricky, but really look at the numbers and you hopefully should be able to crack it if you give it some time. Okay, so hopefully you were able to crack the pattern. Totally okay if you didn't, it's pretty tricky. But what the correct pattern is in the Fibonacci sequence, if you think you got it, is that each number in the sequence is the sum of the previous 2 numbers. So what that means is, let me take my little glow stick here. 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 3 equals 5, 5 plus 8 equals 13, 8 plus 13 equals 21, 21 plus 34 equals 55, like that. And you can see over here in this right below, this is helpful if you're still a bit confused. It explains all of the sums, how you're getting to that next number. So again, 1 plus 1 equals 2, so that's why 2 is the next number. And 2 plus 3 equals 5, so that's why 5 is the next number. 5 plus 8 equals 13, so that's why 13 is the next number. And it keeps going like that. So we see the Fibonacci sequence in nature. So again, this sequence is called the Fibonacci sequence, what we were just looking at. And what we see is this Fibonacci sequence manifest in nature as a Fibonacci spiral. And that's a spiral that we were looking at in the images that we observed, all of those various images. That's a key pattern. So the spiral is constructed when the series of squares are side lengths that align with the numbers in the sequence. So we start with a 1 by 1 square, and then we go to a 2 by 2 square, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 8 by 8, 13 by 13, 21 by 21, and it keeps going like that. We'll keep going. It's not reflected in this image, but we'd keep going now with 34 by 34 square, 55 by 55 square. So the spirals essentially just these squares that have side lengths that correspond to the numbers in the sequence. And again, we start really tiny with those 2 1 by 1 squares that you can see right here. And then we grow into the 2 by 2 square and the 3 by 3 square like that. So that's how we get the spiral shape. It's really cool. And again, we see this in so many different areas in nature. You can go back and rewatch just a couple minutes ago in the video when we were showing all of those pictures, those 6 pictures. There are so many ways the Fibonacci spiral is just in our everyday life, and it's just really amazing. And again, math explains it. So for anyone who's still confused, let's go ahead and just do a bit more of an in-depth explanation of how the Fibonacci sequence works. If you think you got it and you're feeling pretty good, you can go ahead and skip this part of the video. This is just for people who might be feeling a bit stuck because that's totally normal. This is pretty tricky. So 0 plus 1 equals 1, right? And then what we do is we bring that number down, just like this arrow shows. So pull that 1 down. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Pull that 1 down, pull that 2 down. So this might seem a bit tricky. For some of you, this might actually seem like a more complicated way of doing it, but for hopefully at least a couple of you, this really helps explain it. 1 plus 2, what does that equal? 3. Pull the 2 down, pull the 3 down. 2 plus 3 equals 5. Pull the 3 down, pull the 5 down. 3 plus 5 equals 8. And these numbers that are highlighted in green, that's a Fibonacci sequence. So essentially, again, the Fibonacci sequence is just a sum of the previous two numbers. So 0 plus 1 equals 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3. You're just summing the previous two numbers. It's just sums. That's the key thing to remember. And again, so let's just finish this up. Hopefully by now it makes sense. If not, you can go ahead and just go back and rewatch this part of the video. Hopefully that should help explain it. 5 plus 8 equals 13. 8 plus 13 equals 21. 13 plus 21 equals 35. Okay, now it's your guys' turn to actually get to bring this to life. You guys are going to graph this. So I'll give you guys a minute. Go ahead and pause the video after I finish going through the instructions to grab all the materials you need. So you'll need a piece of graph paper if you have one. If you don't have graph paper, you can actually print it on blank paper. If you just search up like graph paper, you can print that literally just onto blank paper if you have access to a printer. If you don't, you can even just draw the grid yourself using a ruler and blank paper or line paper. So you can get creative with how you get this graph paper. You don't need actual graph paper if you don't have it. But if you do, that's probably ideal just because it's already made for you, so it's pretty convenient. Just get graph paper in some form, some type of graph. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser in case you mess up, because it's totally normal. And then get any arts and crafts supplies that you want to decorate. So you can get some markers, colored pencils, Sharpies, whatever you want to really bring this to life. So go ahead and grab all of those and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, and actually, I will tell you now, I'm going to post a video in the description box right below this along with the simulation from earlier. And that will have a video that actually walks you through this. You can see them doing it. Because this can be a bit confusing. I know a couple students were confused during the actual workshop. So having that video to watch can really help clarify this. For some reason, PowerPoint is just crashing every time I try to play the video in this actual recording. So I'm not even going to attempt that, but I will put it right below. So go ahead and watch that if you have any clarifications at all. Even if you don't, it's really helpful just to visualize this. But I'll give you the written instructions here. So you can maybe let me walk through all this and go and watch that video, then come back. That video is also really short. It's just like 30 seconds. But okay, so start by drawing a 1 by 1 square in the middle of your graph paper. And then what's the next number? So we know what's 1 plus 0 because 0 is the first number. 1 plus 0 is 1. So then you're going to draw another 1 by 1 square because again, the Fibonacci spiral is comprised of those squares where the side lengths are that same number. So it's a 1 by 1 square. What's 1 plus 1? 2. So then you're going to draw a 2 by 2 square. What's 2 plus 1? 3. So draw a 3 by 3 square next to it. And you're going to keep going until you reach 21. And you could keep going even further than 21. That would be amazing. You could keep going until the thousands if you want. But just to keep this simple, if you're looking for something a bit quicker, just to visualize this, you could stop at 21. You could even stop earlier. 21 is probably a good number if you're just looking for something a bit quick, but also something pretty cool to make. But yeah, if you want to keep going beyond 21, totally go for it. And then this is where it might get a bit tricky, which is really why I recommend you watch that video, which again, I'll post below this. Connect the boxes by drawing a diagonal line from one end of the first square to the next. And then finally draw a diagonal in the other 1 by 1 square starting from the end of the first diagonal. So this video that's here on the right, again, it's not letting me play it. I don't know why. It's just crashing every time I try, but I will post it. So go ahead and watch that. And here they're making it digitally. Like you could do that if you wanted to, but I think making it by hand is a bit simpler and also just cooler because you made it yourself using your own, materials. So I recommend doing it by hand. You could make it online though if you wanted to using a digital app or website. Okay, and then at the very end of this, we did presentations in breakout rooms. Um, Obviously, that's not possible here, but if you are with maybe a friend or family, you could just present and respond to these topics. If you're alone right now, you could just maybe reflect on these prompts on your own. But I recommend you just simply reflect on these. It can help you better understand the concepts, understand what you learned, and it's just a good way to wrap this up. So first, what was your process of creating your design? How did you go about this? What was your favorite part of making this design? What tools did you use? If you use a digital platform, that's really cool. If you use like pen and paper, maybe did you use colored pencils? Did you use crayons? What all did you use? How have you seen your design in real life? So this really forces you to think about beyond what you simply made. How have you seen this in nature? And if you're stuck, you can go back and look at those 6 images I showed you a few minutes ago. Those are really good ways to understand how what you just made is real. It's not something imaginary. It's not just a cool pattern. It's a real phenomenon that we see all around us. And then students also got to choose another prompt to respond to. Thank you all so much for attending. Um, I hope you really had a lot of fun with this. You learned a lot. Um, if you want to check out the simulation of fractals, it will be in the description box right below, and I really recommend you do that. It's really cool. The students enjoyed it. And I also recommend you try out making the Fibonacci spiral on your own. If you skip that part of the activity, I really recommend you go back and do that. It's a really great way to better visualize and understand this concept. It's also just really fun. It's really satisfying to make. Um, so, and if you want to send us your picture of what you made, we'd really love that. We could feature you on our Instagram or on our website if you'd like. Just specify in the email if you're comfortable with that. Um, so you can email us at mishima.info@gmail.com to send that picture or just to let us know you did this workshop, this video, or let us know any other information. If you have any questions from this video, just let us know. You can reach out for anything and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can find our Instagram at mission.math, or you can find our website mission.tutoring.org to stay in touch with us. Thank you again for attending, and we hope you had a great time. And we hope to see you at future Mission Math events.